What is up, everybody? My name is BobaTalks and welcome back to a brand new Flash Season 4 Episode 9 review and breakdown. And this episode was called Don't Run, and it was a kick-ass episode. Honestly, if you've watched the past couple of reviews of mine, the Flash has just been getting better and better and better. My favorite episode of this season so far is still Episode 7, I believe. Therefore I Am, where, you know, we sort of think of flashbacks. I think that episode was just a highlight to me because we're finally getting back into the more serious-esque hero vibe that we kind of knew from previous seasons, which I felt like they dropped in the first 6 episodes of the season. But episode 8 was obviously the crossover, but so that doesn't technically count in terms of this. But episode 9, you know, is another callback to this serious vibe. This is what I want, guys. This is what I've heard a lot of people have wanted as well, and we're finally getting it. And even though this episode wasn't, you know, as good as episode 7 for me, it was still a kick-ass episode, and I welcome any episode that is like this. But as always, everyone, before I get into this breakdown, if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this, and leave a like on this video if you do go ahead and enjoy it. And also, guys, yesterday I uploaded a 10k/11k video. You can enter this giveaway to win a couple of cool prizes, and also I announced my Patreon, so check out those tiers as well. I'll leave the link to that video in the end card of this one, so be sure to check that out, guys. Now, the beginning of the episode opened up with Barry and Iris opening those wedding gifts, and it looks like they had tons and tons of duplicates wedding gifts, you know, just basically the same stuff over and over again. And the only people, I believe, who got them something different was Oliver and Felicity, which was an espresso coffee machine. I would love that at my wedding one day. So as soon as that knife was shown in the episode, and when Barry touched it, it was just kind of too obvious to me. Now, this, I don't know if this is a criticism or not. I suppose maybe it is a little bit, but I guess they couldn't have done it any other way. It wasn't really a surprise to me, but it didn't take away from that holy shit moment at the end of the episode. So if anything, putting stuff like this across semi-obviously is a good thing, because it makes you think, oh my god, what is this going to mean? Is it going to get revealed by the end of the episode? So that was a cool start to the episode. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something that I love with what they're doing with Clifford DeVoe in the Flash Season 4, because as we know, the Thinker, aka Clifford DeVoe, or vice versa, because of his metahuman power of extreme intelligence after what happened at the Particle Accelerator, and combined with his thinking cap, it's, you know, it's creating this kind of similar effect in his body to that of ALS, which I'm sure you are aware of, where basically ALS is something, you know, where you basically do waste away, you get muscle atrophy, you get all kinds of horrible things, and average life expectancy with that is 2 to 5 years. This is why, you know, what happened in this episode was an inevitable thing, because he wouldn't live much longer in that body if he was to carry on. And there's all these theories going around online, whether it be YouTube or other YouTubers, because it's a similar story to what has happened before with the Thinker in terms of how he's actually controlled the Flash. Now, I did think that was going to happen in this episode, possibly, but I digress. I'm going off topic a little bit here, but what I wanted to mainly talk about with that scene with his wife at the beginning of the episode is he still makes me feel sorry for him. Like, of course he does. When someone is going through something like that, it's a horrible thing. And also, just with, this is why episode 7 was so important to me, with the context of what, you know, he was like in the past. And even though he's going a bit warped now, obviously he is the Thinker now, he's a villain, I still feel sorry for him, even though I know what he's like, even though I saw him and his wife standing there at the end of the episode, you know, holding hands, and they were just like, yeah, let's let them get married. You know, that's quite sinister. We know he's not the good, kind person he was when he was just simply a professor and he wanted to help the world. But still, I can't help but feel connected and sympathize for this character, which is an amazing thing when they're a villain. Not all the time we get this for other characters. For example, with a Reverse Flash, I don't think there's anything you can really sympathize with him over. Despite him being such a cool character, that's one of the things you just can't do, but they've done that with the Thinker, so yes. Now let's flip over to the Killer Frost, or Caitlin Arminette side of the episode. Now, I have to say, this episode, Arminette Black was awesome, and yes, call me a fanboy or whatever, but I really, really like this character. Maybe it's just the stature of the actor, or like, you know, because Katie Sackhoff is a very good one. I feel like, and I've said this before, she's not just your typical villain of the week, and yes, I know she's not a villain of the week, but those ones who normally come in, and I've said this before as well, like the Shade, they just don't have substance to them. Maybe, obviously, the actors aren't as great or something, but this, actor Katie Sackhoff, and with her character that she's embodying, she's just brilliant. She can hold multiple episodes. I know some people don't like her accent, but I honestly don't mind it. Some British accents like that are very over exaggerated, and we've seen this a lot in TV and film as well. Normally an evil or sinister person can have a very exaggerated, you know, British accent or something like that, so it's not normal-esque, but it kind of adds to her demeanor. Regardless, this episode, I loved the interaction with her and Caitlin. She had to get Caitlin to operate on this character called Dominic, but I'll get to that later because this all connects into the Thinker's plan, which I didn't see that part coming. I only thought about the knife at the beginning, but I honestly at the beginning really liked Dominic, and I thought, you know what, this guy's good. Normally characters like this who might not be much of a character throughout the season, if at all, beyond this episode, aren't that interesting. But this one, I was like, you know, I really like this guy. But it turns out that this guy was, you know, a part of that Thinker's plan, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. But connected to this storyline as well, I thought Ralph was being a dick. Now, I took that back a few episodes ago because I really wasn't liking him at the beginning of the season, and obviously I wanted to put across to you guys how I knew that that's how they were portraying him. They wanted us to be annoyed by him because he is a jerk character before he becomes this hero. But you know, when he had that scene with the girl at the end of the hospital, it made me kind of fall in love with the character. But now, going forward, an episode or two later, he just really made me annoyed with him again. But I suppose people don't change just like that. He's still learning. So that moment with Caitlin at the beginning of the episode, you know, it really made me feel sorry for her. I know a lot of people say Killer Frost is so much better, but I kind of am halfway in between that. I still really, really like Caitlin Snow. In fact, I kind of think I prefer a little bit more. Obviously, I think the whole thing with Killer Frost and people's, you know, statements saying, oh, she's so much better as a villain and stuff like that, it's just something different, I feel. That's what it is to people. It is something different. It is slightly something more interesting, and that's why people prefer it automatically, where I really like sweet Caitlin Snow. She's very dear to my heart ever since, you know, season 1. So now to the main part of the episode. Obviously, Barry wakes up in what I'm just going to call the think tank. That's thanks to you guys. We were trying to figure out names like the classroom. I really like that one as well. But let's just call it the think tank just because it goes a little bit easier. I love the interaction between DeVoe and Barry. I like how there was a couple of callbacks between, you know, when Clifford was talking to his wife, when he was figuring all the variables that Team Flash could have called him. He even figured out that the next most likely option was the teacher. And then I liked how in this episode, DeVoe was just like, you know, I am first and foremost a teacher. Now, it just makes me think how it, you know, in another multiverse or parallel universe, Team Flash would have just called him the teacher instead of the thinker. I actually quite like the teacher. It's quite fitting. He is a professor. It all does make sense, but the thinker is badass as well. Barry asks him what the heck is going on. He goes over everything that has happened so far, but Clifford quickly shuts him down by saying, you know, that is not a part of the syllabus, and it's just all about teaching the Flash a lesson, and especially when Joe arrives. This is what I mean about how the season has come so far now, in terms of what we saw at the beginning when Barry was just, you know, hitting his hand against the wall saying, you know, if you lay one hand on him, if you touch him, and that's just brilliant. It's so fantastic. And as for Joe and Clifford DeVoe, that was just absolutely brilliant as well. I think Joe said something along the lines that there's no restraining order on this earth that could come between me, you know, finding my son, or something like that. That was just a fierce Papa Joe moment. And characters like Joe, I don't know if you remember me saying this in other videos, I often find these characters are my favorite characters, and I really, really like Joe, and that moment was just a brilliant and well acted moment from him. I still do beg the question as to why Clifford DeVoe is still maintaining this act to Joe and Harry, because Harry was there as well. I know the whole Trial of the Flash-esque kind of storyline is happening in the future, well, in the next episode even, but you know, why wouldn't he reveal himself to Joe? It's not like they could make a difference in terms of bringing him down if they knew about him, because they already do know about him. So why is he keeping that act up? I think maybe it is just as simple as a mind game, and he's just really trying to frustrate the crap out of them, since he knows that they know that he is the thinker. However, there could be more to it. I'd love to know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Why hasn't he revealed himself just publicly, just talking to him like, you know, I know you know who I am, I'm the thinker, but you can't touch me, there's no evidence here. Go on, arrest me if you can. But he isn't doing that, so let me know what you think about that. Now, with Barry being in this speedster-proof prison, I found it very interesting, and I love the fact that the writers threw in this impossible decision for Iris to make. It did make the episode a lot more interesting because, you know, she had to choose between saving Barry or Caitlin, because the satellite, you know, it has like a speed force tracker as well as Caitlin's cold signature. So because that was having problems finding both of them, she had to figure out who, you know, was best to save in terms of, you know, what they can do for each person. And obviously Barry is the Flash, makes sense, he can take care of himself, but that added, I felt like, just a lot of substance to this episode, and especially Iris's character, because obviously that is such an impossible decision to make, because you want to be really selfish, because this is the person you love, this is the person who you just got freaking married to, and he's the Flash as well, and maybe probably could, I don't know, if you do look at it logistically, maybe make a lot more of a difference than Caitlin could. But all these thoughts, as guilty as they make you feel, must be running through your head when making a decision like that. Yet she still had to choose against Barry, and she decided to help Iris, so that makes this episode, you know, 10 times better. It was brilliant, and I like that it got resolved between Barry and Iris as well. You know, he said you made the right call, and yeah, I just really liked that moment. Now, jumping to the end of the whole Barry and DeVoe stuff this episode, I really liked the, you know, the speedster vibration thing Barry did, you know, because he vibrated so fast it's invisible to the human eye for him to see. And when at first I saw DeVoe, like, oh, he's not there, bang, press the button, force field is gone, and then Barry appears. That, I thought immediately, I was like, come on, DeVoe, you're meant to be the smartest man alive. You know that Barry is there. He wouldn't have just disappeared. You couldn't have not calculated that, because this is all a part of his plan. But then that made me feel stupid, because this all was a part of his plan. He wants to let Barry think he had the upper hand there. And then that whole CGI scene was actually super, super cool. Sometimes the CGI scenes, as ambitious as they are, and you can respect them for that, they really take you out of it in previous seasons. But this season, they've been doing a freaking amazing job with that. That whole scene with Barry, you know, vibrating again, phasing, I should say, through the claws, so it attacked Clifford's, you know, chair, so he went up into the water, was all a part of the plan. I'm sure all you guys are aware of this, but Barry is under the illusion that he was a badass, and he vibrated and he got above the Thinker's plan. But no, that was all a part of an elaborate plan for, you know, the Thinker to basically own Barry and take the next stage up in his plan. And that is where we learned that Dominic, the metahuman who could read minds, which is a freaking amazing power, by the way, and I should have said that earlier, turned out to be the Thinker at the end of the episode, where they all went over to the West House to have Christmas. And that was just brilliant. But as soon as Barry got that security alert at his house, I just knew that it was something to do with that knife. And then I was like, of course, Clifford went into the water and the body's going to be there. And my heart was racing a little bit. Like, even though I knew this was coming, the fact episodes get this reaction out of me is exactly what the showrunners, I'm sure, strive to do, but, you know, provoke that emotion out of me. So well done. Like, if that happens, then you've sold it. And that moment when Barry discovered Clifford DeVoe's body on the floor and the knife there, and that Speed Force moment where he had to, you know, just decide, run or don't run, that was fantastic. Now, I knew he wasn't going to run, but that was just, was such a captivating moment. I love the Speed Force effects coming off him, and he's like, right, what do I do? Do I really run or do I fight this? That was an amazing emotional moment when, you know, Captain Singh came in. He could have got out there, he could have escaped, but that would have been a whole different story. So yeah, that was fantastic. Now, the second to last thing I which really quickly want to touch on is Clifford DeVoe's wife. She really impresses me this season, every episode she's in. I think her acting is brilliant, but one thing I took out of this episode, the whole episode, you know, whether it was when Barry was talking to her about his own marriage and how she was, you know, it was almost like she was reassuring herself about always and forever being, you know, the Thinker's partner, not in only terms of marriage, but just, you know, partnership in general. She conveyed in her eyes this whole episode doubt, just doubt throughout all of it. And obviously that wasn't visually spoken, but the acting and the emotion conveyed in her face just said that all over, and I really like that. So it could possibly end up, you know, this season with her actually helping Team Flash, whether that's with that cerebral inhibitor that Savitar teased us with last season to take down Devoe. Will she be a part of that? Will that actually be the way we take down Devoe this season? I don't know, but maybe she will be the one to invent that, because she is this master engineer or, you know, robotics person. So I just thought her acting was great, and she might come into the plan to take down the Thinker eventually. That Cisco sexy cube or dirty cube, I don't know what you want to call it, that's just what I call it, was brilliant. Oh my god, that was just brilliant comedy. This is a fine example I want to tell to you guys. This is the perfect comedy that is absolutely more than acceptable. It's brilliant. I welcome comedy like this. But the other comedy in the first couple of episodes, that'd be the counseling with Iris and Barry making jokes, you know, punchline jokes about the death of his mother and Eddie, stuff like that. Just no. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of this episode in the comment section down below. I thought it was amazing. If they keep on with this, you know, pace, then this could be the best season yet. And I'm not even joking when I say that. Seriously, maybe season 1 could never be topped, but the best season after like 2 and 3. If you enjoyed this video, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on it, as it really does show your support for the channel, and maybe even consider subscribing if you're brand new for more Flash and Arrowverse content just like this. I do have a Patreon now, so if you want to support the channel a little bit more and fuel the content that I create, then be sure to check out some of the tiers that I have. You can stay a little bit more up to date with me personally by following me on social media. The link should be popping up around here or in the description below. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, that was a bit of a voice break, in the next video. Goodbye.